In the tapestry of human history, where myth intertwines with reality, lies the tale of a decision that ignited the flames of the most legendary war ever sung by poets, the Trojan War. Imagine a world where gods mingle with mortals, where the beauty of a single woman can launch 1,000 ships, and where the fate of an entire city is sealed not by its walls, but by the desires of the heart. A story that transcends time, reminding us of the power of love, beauty, and the catastrophic ripples of a single choice. As we peel back the layers of this ancient saga, we uncover not just the roots of a mythical war, but a narrative so compelling that it has captivated the human imagination for millennia. Join us on a journey to the past, to the fabled city of Troy, where gods play games with the lives of men, and where the threads of fate weave a story of passion, betrayal, and tragedy. Welcome to the tale of how Paris's love for the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen, set the world aflame, proving that sometimes, the most powerful weapon in the world is not the sword, but the heart. The root of Paris's decision lies in the events of the Judgment of Paris, a divine contest that set the stage for the Trojan War. Eris, the goddess of discord, not invited to the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, threw a golden apple into the celebration, inscribed with, "To the fairest." Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite each claimed the apple, and Zeus appointed Paris, a prince of Troy known for his fairness, to judge who was the fairest among them. Each goddess offered Paris a bribe. Hera promised him power and kingship over all men. Athena offered wisdom and skill in war. Aphrodite promised the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta, regardless of her marital status. Paris awarded the apple to Aphrodite, thus sealing his fate and that of Troy. In doing so, he acted under the influence of the goddess's promise, driven by desire and the allure of having the most beautiful woman as his wife. Helen was considered the most beautiful woman in the world, married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. Her beauty had already been destined to spark a great war, according to prophecies. When Paris visited Sparta, he was received as a guest by Menelaus, but during the visit, with Menelaus away, Paris, with or without Helen's consent, took her back to Troy. Some versions suggest Helen was enchanted by Aphrodite to fall in love with Paris, further complicating the narrative of abduction versus elopement. Helen's departure with Paris to Troy, whether due to divine manipulation, love, or Paris's own judgment, led to the assembly of the Greek forces and the start of the Trojan War, aiming to retrieve Helen and restore Menelaus's honor. The war, lasting 10 years, resulted in the destruction of Troy and the loss of many heroes on both sides. As dawn breaks, the Greek armada prepares to set sail. Hundreds of ships fill the harbor, a sea of masts and sails against the early light. Warriors and seafarers bustle with anticipation. This moment marks the beginning of an epic quest, a unified force poised to make history on the shores of Troy. In order to secure a Greek victory, Agamemnon faces a heart-wrenching decision: to sacrifice his daughter, Iphigenia, to appease the goddess Artemis, who had stilled the winds preventing the Greeks from sailing to Troy. The divine demands weigh heavily, a tragic prelude to war, highlighting the personal costs entangled in the pursuit of victory. The reason for Artemis's anger varies among sources. One common explanation is that Agamemnon had either killed a sacred deer in a grove dedicated to Artemis or boasted that he was a better hunter than she. In response, Artemis demanded a sacrifice: Agamemnon's daughter, Iphigenia. Faced with the choice of abandoning the war effort or sacrificing his daughter, Agamemnon chose the latter, a decision that reveals the complexities of ancient Greek values, including the prioritization of duty over family, the king's responsibility to his warriors, and the harsh demands of the gods. In some versions of the story, Iphigenia is heroically willing to die for the sake of the Greek cause, while in others, she is deceitfully lured to Aulis under the pretense of marrying Achilles, only to discover the true reason for her summoning. The sacrifice of Iphigenia is emblematic of the tragic choices and moral dilemmas faced by characters in Greek mythology and literature, highlighting themes of loyalty, sacrifice, and the influence of fate and the divine. It sets a somber tone for the Trojan War narrative, foreshadowing the conflict's overall cost and the personal tragedies that many of its heroes would endure. Agamemnon's decision also contributes to his complex portrayal in mythology, where he is both a powerful leader and a father forced into a grievous act. However, this sacrifice didn't ensure a smooth victory, as more trouble lay ahead for Agamemnon. Achilles, the greatest warrior of the Greek forces, initially withdrew from the battle due to a dispute with Agamemnon, the leader of the Greek expedition, over a prize of war, Briseis. This quarrel is central to the plot of Homer's Iliad and results in Achilles refusing to fight, which significantly affects the Greeks' fortunes in the war. With the Trojans, led by Hector, pressing the Greeks back to their ships, Patroclus, a close friend of Achilles, dons Achilles' armor and leads the Myrmidons into battle to help the Greeks. He achieves great success but is ultimately killed by Hector, who believes he has slain Achilles due to the armor Patroclus wears. The death of Patroclus propels Achilles back into the conflict, fueled by a desire for revenge against Hector, the Trojan hero who killed his friend. This personal vendetta becomes Achilles' primary motivation, overshadowing the initial cause of the war, the abduction of Helen. Driven by grief and rage, Achilles returns to the battlefield, seeking Hector. The gods, who are deeply involved in the Trojan War, manipulating and supporting their favored sides and heroes, also play a role in the events leading up to the duel. Hector, knowing his fate but bound by his sense of duty and honor, chooses to face Achilles rather than flee. The two warriors, representing the pinnacle of martial prowess for their respective sides, engage in a fierce duel outside the walls of Troy. Achilles emerges victorious, killing Hector. The manner of Hector's death and Achilles' subsequent treatment of Hector's body, dragging it around Patroclus' tomb, highlight themes of rage, respect for the fallen, and the brutal realities of war. The death of Hector marks the beginning of the end for Troy, as he was its greatest defender. For Achilles, the victory is hollow, as it brings him closer to his own prophesied death, which he knows will occur shortly after Hector's demise. Andromache, Hector's wife, learns of Hector's death, a scene of devastating sorrow within their Trojan home. Surrounded by the symbols of his valor, she embodies the war's personal toll. Her grief captures the heartbreak of loss, a poignant reminder of the conflict's impact on those left behind. Amidst the divine realm of Mount Olympus, Hera's cunning unfolds. She deceives Zeus, ensuring the Greeks' advantage. This moment of divine intrigue reveals the complex interplay of power among the gods, influencing the mortal world below and shaping the course of the Trojan War. Hera, known for her cunning and determination, is deeply invested in the downfall of Troy and seeks to assist the Greek forces, despite Zeus's decree of non-interference from the gods, intending to maintain a level of neutrality in the conflict. Adorned with the cestus and beautified by other gods at her request, Hera approaches Zeus on Mount Ida, where he is overseeing the war. Her appearance captivates Zeus, and, succumbing to her charms, he is drawn away from the conflict, focusing his attention solely on her. With Zeus distracted, Hera signals to Poseidon, the god of the sea and a supporter of the Greek forces, that he can intervene in the battle without fear of Zeus's wrath. Poseidon, seizing the opportunity, aids the Greeks, turning the tide of battle in their favor for a time. One reason for Poseidon's involvement is his resentment towards the Trojans, King Laomedon. Laomedon had cheated Poseidon and Apollo after they built the walls of Troy under his rule, refusing to pay them the due wages. This deceit left a lasting bitterness in Poseidon towards Troy. Poseidon personally enters the fray, wielding his powers to terrify the Trojans and bolster the Greeks. His divine presence on the battlefield shifts the momentum towards the Greek side, even if temporarily. As the god of earthquakes, Poseidon could also use his control over the earth and seas to affect the physical conditions of the battlefield, though specific instances of this in the Iliad focus more on his direct combat and encouragement of the Greek warriors. But the Trojans were resilient and the war continued. After years of futile attempts to capture Troy, the Greeks, on the advice of Odysseus, decide to create a giant wooden horse in which a select group of soldiers could hide. The horse was intended to be a deceptive gift to the Trojans, who would think the Greeks had given up and left the horse as an offering to the goddess Athena for a safe return home. The Greeks chose their best carpenters and craftsmen to build the horse, making it large enough to hold a significant number of soldiers inside. The construction was carried out in secret to prevent the Trojans from becoming suspicious of the activity in the Greek camp. The horse was made of wood, likely from the trees in the vicinity of Troy, and was designed to have a hollow belly in which the soldiers could hide. Once the horse was completed, a select group of Greek warriors, led by Odysseus, hid inside it. The rest of the Greek forces then burned their camp and sailed away to a nearby island, Tenedo, to wait out of sight of Troy, creating the illusion that they had abandoned the siege. The Trojans, believing the Greeks had finally departed and left the horse as a votive offering to Athena, decided to bring the horse into the city as a trophy of their apparent victory. The plan worked as intended. The Trojans celebrated their victory into the night, and when the city was asleep, the Greek warriors emerged from the horse, opened the gates of Troy for the rest of the Greek forces, who had sailed back under the cover of night, and the city was sacked, leading to the fall of Troy. As Troy smolders, its women mourn the city and their lost loved ones. Their collective sorrow and resilience amidst the ruins reflect the enduring spirit of those who survive, a poignant image of the war's aftermath and the strength found in solidarity. With Troy in ruins, the Greek ships set sail for home, a bittersweet departure. The calm sea and the dawn of a new day signal a return to peace, yet the memories of the siege linger. This journey marks the end of conflict and the complex legacy of victory. The Trojan horse is often seen as a symbol of cunning over brute force, illustrating the Greek valorization of wit, especially that of Odysseus, known for his cleverness and guile. The strategy underscores the themes of deception, trust, and betrayal that permeate the Trojan War narrative. If you like this story, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more historical content. We post short stories daily, and long-form content like this every week.